which other people might term a passive offer. Right. And we don't use that term because there's nothing passive about it. You have continued support, you have continued admin, all that kind of good stuff. But it is definitely leverage because you're putting in the front end work and then on repeat bringing in revenue from that. Right.
And
So
that's the thing, it's that front end. The work comes at the
yeah,
beginning
yeah,
and then the tail is small. Whereas sometimes with the boutique offers, the work comes through the delivery.
it
So
does.
you know, the bulk of it. So it's just, where you want to put your work in it rather than there being no work. Because yes, whilst you
Yeah.
definitely can get passive to a degree, there is no such thing as magic money.
Yeah, there's always some effort and continue. I mean, just customer service alone, that will have an ongoing, and I can geek out about money all day because finance is part of my background, but that's not today's topic. Same thing with Sue, like on pricing, we got a lot of opinions, and with that, like with this concept of low dollar, I introduced those parameters of like less than 100, less than 50, but something that you may experience as you're like diving into the wide world of internet business is some of like the bigger names, the people who are already making multiple millions, their low ticket offer will still be 3 or 4 figures. Right. It's
Yeah.
still the front end where which it's called a loss leader in marketing. It's where you don't plan on making a lot of money from it, because you make all your money on the back end, right? On a membership, on a mastermind, on coaching, on a VIP, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll see a lot of people throw out a lot of affiliate things. You'll see those bundle sales. People will offer things that are typically less than 500, but often like even just less than 100 in
Mm.
a bundle. And it's because those are those loss leaders, right? So we are bringing this up because it is a multiple pronged approach for your business. So it's a great way for people to get to know you, which boosts your credibility and your visibility.
Yeah.
Because more people are willing to take a chance for $17 than even 97, let alone 997, right? They're willing to take more of a chance. But it also is something that you can weave into other products, as Sue was alluding to before, where you can make that your bump, your upsell, your trottoir, your blah, 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 blah. And so it has a lot of use. Just understand when it comes to how do I make money from this? That goes back to that volume. You are expecting to sell over 100 of something at some point in the future in order to start getting your money back, right?
Yeah, and also it comes in, like when you were talking about it being a loss leader, there's sort of two ways to think about it. It's like think about when you go to Costco and they have free samples for you to
Yeah.
try, or if sometimes at a train station, or at the Sydney Marathon on the weekend, they were handing out smoothie drinks and yogurts and different waters and things like that. That is companies giving their product to you. And that's what can happen in bundles and things like that as a promotional exercise. They're giving it to you to try and find an audience they maybe didn't already have and get exposure to new people. Because especially as things like Facebook ads, that whole meta advertising environment has matured, it's become a lot more expensive and a lot more difficult to acquire a customer. Like the days of 10-cent leads and crazy stuff like that was happening 2015, 2016, when people were becoming millionaires based off easy Facebook ads. That world doesn't exist anymore. And things like Facebook ads can be really expensive, and a lot of these low ticket offers originated as a way to basically break even or just make a little bit of money on your advertising. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be something that's on advertising, but for the most part, especially this sort of $17, $27, $37 price point, a lot of people don't expect to have that as an income generating product for their business. It's kind of like that easy trial tester, and you can use the product that you create for that in a lot of different ways to sell on its own. But essentially for those lower ticket things, it's to bring people into your world and then to use those things as a way to increase the average order value of other products that you might sell. So you can either use it to sell it, to recoup some of that cost, Or if you have this product already and it's a really helpful addition or a bonus to another product that you're selling, and say that product is selling for $97 and you have this, $17 offer, that potentially, if it's really well aligned, if 20% of the people who are buying the $97 offer then buy the additional $17 offer, that's increasing the value of that other sale that you're making and getting your products in front of more people. So it's one of those things where there's not like one way to use that, and there's it helps recoup costs of getting leads, because to get eyeballs on your business, you've either got to spend time or you've got to spend money. And if you're spending time and you're doing things like podcasts and YouTube and social media, having something where people can buy in a really like low risk way, like a $17, $37 product, it's a way that someone can be like, oh, I kind of like that person. I like what they're saying. Let me test something. Let me get my little Costco sample or my little almost free thing. And if someone gets a win from that, then they're so much more likely to then come into your world and then perhaps become a boutique customer or recommend someone else to become a boutique customer if they're not the right person.
Yeah, it's very much, it goes into the bucket of marketing expense.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And it's that's also why you'll hear them called SLOs, self-liquidating offers, if you are actually using them to pay for something like an ad, somewhere else. So there's lots of little things like this is where some of the best bonuses come from. Right? Like people get it included when they buy. Like for me, you can actually, I have group coaching, but I still have one-on-one coaching. And when someone does one-on-one, they get my mini course, they get access to my group programs as part of it. Right. So you're almost creating, like the architecture for your sales just by having something like this, right? It's a good way to test new things when you're like, oh, I wonder if people would like this.
Yeah.
Someone who like a peer that I talked to who's in the online space, she doesn't do freebies at all. She does dollar offers.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, will someone spend $1 on this? Let me see how much they find, interesting. How much value do they get out of it? What do they think of it? And you've played with $9, $12, $17 options before for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the other thing as well is that talking about using things as testing, you might start something out at that really little price point just to gauge, is it worth putting effort in? Should I, just selling it in the simplest way possible? Like often I suggest when someone's just starting out with an offer, just to make the checkout page and make the checkout like an enhanced checkout page before you go to the effort of creating the full sales page. And if you can sell it like through the most simplest way and you're getting sales and you're getting good feedback, those are good signals to be like, all right, maybe this doesn't need to be a $17 offer. Maybe I can enhance it and look at, additional things that I can include. And then maybe that could become a $97 offer, like, or even higher. Like, there's some of the things that I've created, and I've seen other people doing this too, where it starts off as a $17 like live workshop style thing. And then you break that up, you turn it into a course, you look at adding additional helpful resources. And then, over time that can become something that you could maybe sell for $197 or even $297 because the value of it's growing, but you're getting to test that process. And, that's getting feedback about what else could be added, like what else maybe even could be taken away, like things to help enhance people's experiences is what, helps you grow these products. Or you could find it's a complete flop and 3 people buy it and no one says anything about it. And you're like, all right, great. I learned that before I invested like a whole lot more time and energy into that. And you could work on something else.
Yeah. And it's fantastic way to get what we call VOC, voice of customer, right? It's how you can get, how they're feeling before, after, during, and then of course, hopefully little snippets for testimonials, right? Like you can get some fantastic feedback of what needs to change, as well as like, some quotes of how people are feeling about it. And that exact same model is what I did.
Yeah.
Because for those of you watching, I guest coach inside of Sue's group sometimes. And I told her I had this process that I do. I've done it with some one-on-one people, but I've never done it as like a group.
Yep.
And I don't even know if it translates to a group. I don't know if I know how to communicate it, if I know how to break it down for people, if I know how to give all this stuff. And so we got together and I did it for $17 for her people.
Yep.
And I had 5 people join. And so I was like, okay, this is enough people to like figure this out. And
Exactly.
they gave me fantastic feedback about how to structure, what support they needed,
Yeah.
my little isms and nuances versus like what translates better, right? Because that's something that we all have to think about when we are doing things, especially for like a group.
Yeah.
Like even if it's a PDF, you know, even if it's the kind of thing where it's like, well, this is how I would lay it out, but that's based on how your brain works, not necessarily how other people's work, right? That's why we want to get other eyeballs on it. And then from there, I went to it being $49 and I got more people in. And then I moved it to $97 and I've gotten even more people in. And there are 4 or 5 different lessons that I'm going to add to it. And then I'm going to break out even more. And at that point, it will move up to the 197.
Yeah.
So if
Exactly.
anyone wants it, it's like grab it now. But
But that's also a great
you know,
sales
it's
thing.
a real life.
Yeah.
It's a real life example of doing exactly what she just said as a you know, theoretical. We gave it a try. And it was my first foray into lower price things. I'd never done anything that was less than probably a 4-figure investment. The only time that it's a 3-figure for me is if I'm guesting in other people's. So I had never branched out in that before. And that was why I teamed up with Sue on it, because she had, you know, she had done those kind of like volume based, and it's great to have the guidance when you want to try that out.
Yeah. And this is the thing, is that doing those lower ticket style of offers, it's not something that has to be like a decision, like, am I going to do low ticket or am I going to do boutique higher ticket? Like, all of these things have a place within your business. And also, you know, you might offer and decide, I don't want to do those things. I'm just going to go back to, you know, doing a free lead magnet or anything. Like, there's no like have to do anything. Like if Tracie, you had tried that out and you were like, this actually doesn't translate to group, I think I'm going to stick with group, that would be okay. Like, there's no like, oh, you in an ideal business, you have a this offer and a that offer and an X offer, because we're going to come back to why, because you need to match offers to your audience. And that is the most, you know, critical and important thing. Like, what does your audience need? And when you come at it, don't be thinking, oh, like, I want to create a low ticket offer, what can I create? Like, be thinking, what does my audience need from me?
Yes. And that's, I mean, I have had that exact question on coaching calls before, when people are like, I want to make a $27 product. What do I make?
Because they've like, seen someone doing it on the internet, on Facebook.
Yeah. And it's, there's nothing wrong with using that as a way to expand your mind to possibilities and explore. That's just not a foundation that we make a business decision based on. Right. Like, even when, you know, McDonald's, they do some of their burgers for like under $2, right? But they're not going, I want to make a $2 burger. Instead, they're like, well, what can I make that does, you know, like reach that affordability, but without compromising our price? Like, at what price point does that hit? And with them, again, they have the mass, which means their expenses get spread out into more places, you know, like their costs get covered in other ways. As well as they obviously have the brand recognition, you know, and they have like that built-in audience. So it's not as much of a gamble for them if they want to do something that is that price point. Whereas those of us who have smaller audiences, we have niches within niches within niches. You know, you have like, however that you're identifying, you know, your business at its current stage, it's there's a lot more into thinking about the strategy and deciding, is this right for me? And if so, how do I execute this? And that always starts with, what do your people need? You have humans on the other side of the screen, reading your emails, watching your lives, you know, commenting on your video, doing whatever marketing mechanism you're doing. Those are real people on the other side, and they're looking to you for something. Right. So sometimes it's a case of offering just one module from a bigger part, offering one workshop from a coaching session that you do. You know, it can be pulling these different pieces out versus saying, I want a $27 product. What do I make? It's like, well, what do your humans need? And then is it something that you can provide at that, or do you need to keep digging?
Yeah, and also I think it's a case of with the smaller offers especially, I think it's really important to make sure that they've got that clear win that someone gets out of doing it. You're not creating giving a signature course away for, peanuts here. What you're doing is pulling one small aspect, like one thing where someone completes that. So you're not saying, I'm going to teach you how to play guitar. You might be like, I'm going to teach you the 3 most important chords that you need as a beginner, or I'm going to teach you how to play this song on guitar.
Or this bridge from this song.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
Yeah.
it's far more specific in general terms, and usually it's something that's reasonably quick to achieve. This isn't something that someone's going to do over weeks or months. In generally, it's an hour a day, a couple of days at most, that they'll then take and work on this, and then to get someone to a point where they're like, oh, great. And the end result is that they, take your little mini training course, template pack, whatever it is that you're selling for that cheap price. It allows them to achieve something, which then leaves them feeling positive about you. It allows them to experience your teaching style, to know if it's for them, because for me, I would far rather know that I resonated with someone's teaching style after spending $37 than spending $3,700.
Yeah.
And it's essentially like a little expanded Costco taster. Instead of just one biscuit, maybe you're getting the whole packet, and but then
It's a
you're not
trial,
getting,
right?
yeah, and you're not getting a box, you're just getting a trial where it's an expanded trial essentially, and giving that opportunity to get someone to know you. But just, I think when you're sort of trying to figure out what will be in that like mini course or offer, it's think about something that people have asked you about is ideal, like where you've had like a question like, how do I do this? Or oh, I've seen you doing that thing, like with you, where people have gone, oh, I really love your process and how you think about how you do that. Like teaching a process is a really great thing to include in a mini offer, and it gives that taste and that sense of achievement, like that getting someone to achieve something is one of the most valuable things that you can do through a mini offer, because looking at a customer, in getting into, I guess, more technical terms and probably less personal terms, like the lifetime value of a customer is one of the most critical metrics for a business, because it's not what someone buys once, it's what someone buys over the lifetime of your relationship with them. And giving that taste makes them far more likely to want to work with you further, whether it is through a coaching program or whether it's buying other of your smaller or potentially bigger digital products, because they've got that positive association.
Definitely. Right. And that's one of those things where you have a little bit of an intertangle, like you have options, right? You
Yeah.
always have options. And that is one of the beautiful but often scary parts of having your own business.
Yeah.
Is that you get to decide, but you have to decide.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Oh my God.
yeah, so sometimes it can be kind of comforting to follow the leader and just like mimic what other people are doing, and that's okay if that is your way of experimenting, right?
Yeah.
Just don't ever feel like you have to do something with it. But to the point of like where these lower cost offers are intertangled, it's the classic question: what does my human need to know before working with me? Right. So the same way it's like, I have one-on-one coaching. I have this big group program. I have this fill in the blank. It's like, well, what does someone need to know before they work with me? Okay, well, is this something that I can contain into a 1-hour workshop, into a PDF, into a what, or is this, no, actually, this would be another 8 weeks of training. Okay, then what do they need to know before they come into there? Right. So the same way that you keep breaking it down to come up with a freebie is the same way that you would break it down to come up with a smaller offer, right? So that's what we mean when we say it can be like the foundational module of a course or a program that you already have going, but it can also be a standalone where it doesn't lead to anything yet, because you're trying something out, because you're trying to see what people are interested in, which is a great tool when someone is pivoting.
Oh, absolutely. Because That's the thing. Sometimes you'll think you have the best idea in the world. Like you will, and you'll be so convinced that this is like magic that the world needs. But do you know how to find out if this is magic that the world needs? Tell the world and see how they respond. And
Yes.
sometimes they're not going to respond how you think. And there's two things that could be happening. A, that could be a messaging issue. And I say Tracie, could
Whole
talk
other
about
episode.
that just on messaging. But also it may just be that you've missed the mark and it isn't what people need, or it isn't what they want. And you think it's what they want, but there's a kind of a disconnect. And, like having this as this smaller offer, either as an experiment or something that you do like as a workshop to start, or just spend a few days pulling a mini course together to find that out before you spend months or even years on a program, is the most helpful information you could ever have. Because I know people that have spent many, many months, 6 months plus, creating what they thought was the most epic course in the world. I have done it myself. My first membership, 3 months of absolute blood, sweat, and tears
Heartache.
went into that thing. And my God, it looked beautiful, but it was too broad. It didn't connect because I didn't do that first stage of seeing, is this what people want and need right now?
Yes, and I will give a caveat to that, because people always talk about create what your humans want, but sometimes, and this again goes back to the idea of pivoting, sometimes you're actually trying to move into a different audience.
Yes.
So when you are creating something, experimenting with something, and you're like, no, this is hardcore what I want to do. I don't care if nobody wants it. True. This is what I want to do. Then it's a case, okay, great. Then let's find who it is that wants that. Right.
Yeah.
So there is this kind of play between things. Are you in love with the audience that you have, and you're like, yeah, these people reflect me, this is exactly what I want to do, how can I serve them, what can I make that will better their lives, versus like, I've got a passion for this, now I need to find the humans that also have a passion for this. You are allowed both, and that is not something that honestly enough people talk about. Sometimes we are trying to get more of the audience that we already have, and other times we're trying to hone the audience to make sure that we're actually reaching the people that we ultimately want to work with and to help make their lives better.
And when you are pivoting, which you might be like, no, I am convinced this is what I'll be doing forever. I will say the chance of you pivoting at some point in the next 1 to 2 years is higher than you might expect. Yes. And it may not even be a pivot. It might be more of a
evolution.
Like getting, going from broad to a bit more specific. Having that opportunity to sort of test the waters. And because you may have someone who's in your audience now who does match the new direction that you want to go to, but you might need to go back to a bit of ground zero and put it out there on social media and maybe run a small ad campaign or do something to get your new offer in front of people. And if you do that before you make the full pivot, then that can be really helpful to know. And also it gives you a chance to do that and to go through that product creation to help you understand if this is the new direction that you want to go in, because that's always a bit of a like, oh, should I do this? Should I not do this? And getting that feedback and going through that process can sometimes cement the decision where you're like, oh my God, yes, this is it. This is what I want to do. And when you are working with someone, whether that's through a digital product or other ways, that can also help you, really feel it, whether this is the right thing for you to be doing. So
and seeing what's possible, because there's some things where you're like, this is so nuanced, or it requires so much of me, there's no way I could bring it to the mass market. It's like, that might be true, but what can we test? What can we play with? What can we move around just to see, just to see what the options are. I know that I've had a couple of offers that I was like, I don't know if I have the capability, it's like, I'm great with small, intimate numbers of people, but to talk to like the world? That seems no way. And then it was kind of like, okay, well, what if I just take this one part? What if I
Yeah.
just see what this is like? And I might not get it right the first time, and that's perfectly okay, right? Because they're not losses, they're lessons.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like, what else can I find out? Okay, well, so when I use this example, it doesn't make sense to anybody. So let me see another kind.
Yeah.
And that helps you grow. It helps you grow as just a human being, but also in your business. And that was why, I threw in that word evolution there, because it might not be, like a full about face 180 kind of pivot. It might just be a case of falling in love with something that you didn't expect to, or like having a season of your life where it makes more sense for you to kind of go down this one like specific tunnel or into like these group of things, right? Because some people teach based on what they're going on like in their lives like right now.
Yeah.
Other people do it based on experience, and other people have never been anywhere that their customer, that their client is, but they have the education, they have the background, they have that training in it, right? So whichever of those that you are, that is okay.
Yeah.
And there is a way to play around and to try these things that people talk about as like low offers and make it fit where you need it to fit.
Yeah, and it could also be that you are, say, a service provider and you're trying to decide which side of my audience do I go with. So say you are a service provider and right now you are coaching people on, I don't know, dog training. And if you are doing that, you might be like, well, do I want to teach other people how to become a dog trainer? Or do I want to teach individuals how to train their dog? And you'll be like, oh, I'm going both ways. And then you're like, oh, but I've got these, specific things that I'm doing in my business. I don't know if I want to give away my business secrets, so maybe I'll teach, but then maybe you don't enjoy it. And by creating things, maybe you could do a smaller offer for both sides and see where it sits, see where it lands with you and what feels most comfortable, and see what gets the best response, what you enjoy most, because you don't know. And I meet so many service providers that are like, oh, I'm just not sure which side of the spectrum, what's going to make more money, what I'm going to like, what I feel comfortable with teaching. And it's that whole thing of like, oh, but if I teach people how to do it themselves, then they won't need me. And let's face it, ultimately, hopefully that is the idea, because if you want to move away, or you might be like Tracie, where you're like, well, I don't need to completely, I like working with people one-on-one and I have the capacity for it, or in a small group, so I don't necessarily want to never do that. I just want to have an option available because I am at that boutique end of the scale, and some people just don't have the capacity, and I want to give an option so that there is a more economical option. But there's always that, like, it feels like it's a choice, but by doing something at the lower ticket end, it doesn't have to be. You could try both things out, and also you could try something out and then be like, yeah, I don't like that, and just quit it, cut it, like don't sell it anymore. Like, just because you create something and you sell it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is, it could get to a point where you're like, yeah, well, I did that, and I don't want to continue doing that, and that is okay as well.
It is. And that's, I know, something that people get very kind of like they allow it to stop their progress because they're afraid. They're like, if I go all out, if I start talking about this and then I don't want to keep doing it, what's going to happen? Right. And you have a couple options. You can always do what's called like a little soft launch, or like a private invite only, like just to the people on your email list. But you can also use the beautiful transparency. Like there's something that whenever I'm teaching people sales messaging and all that is the biggest thing. It's like, it's okay to tell people, hey, I want to try this.
I
don't know if I'm going to do it forever, but if you buy this, then I promise to support you in X capacity, right? And you're putting in those expectations, you're putting in those parameters, and you're also showing that you're a real fucking human. Like, it's that, and that is okay, right? And whenever we emulate that, whenever we model that for other people, then it helps them also feel okay with what they're playing with, right? Because you you can put it on your story. You can ask, people for replies. You can put it in your private groups all day long. But there is a big difference between what people will cheer you on for versus what they will put dollars behind. And so this is an option for you to get a real, will someone put a dollar behind this idea versus just cheering on my ambitions.
Yeah, exactly. And also it helps you, I don't want to say justify, because I'm not sure that's the right word, but it helps you give a reason why you are pricing something at a low price point when you are testing it out, because you're saying, hey, I'm working this out along with you. So hence you're going to get the better deal, because this is a beta. This is a brand new membership. This is, the first time I've ever offered this. And, a lot of people, some people might be like, oh, no, I don't like things that are, experimental. Other people will be like, hell yeah, I want to work with you, like, at this really great opportunity price. And it's just, I think it's just a case of expanding your thinking about the possibilities and not just going, oh, I'm going to, I want to like screw myself over. I'm going to, turn into the Walmart, because when I'm a boutique pricing, like people at this boutique end shouldn't, or high end shouldn't sell low ticket because it devalues me. It's about thinking about where this offer fits in your entire business, and just being open to the idea that it gives you a bit of experimentation options and chances.
And giving you permission to play, right? Because it's also very much an eye opener for people who have a hard time separating themselves as a human from the company that they're making.
Yeah.
Right. Because even if you are the power of one, if you got an LLC, you send out invoices, you have you're a business, just plain and simple. You are a business. And I remember a conversation that I had with a one-on-one client where I was telling her that she's an aspirational brand. And that just like blew her mind, because she sees herself as what she does, and she knows she's good at it. She knows that it's fantastic and her business is growing like crazy. But to realize that not her as a human, but as a brand, as a company, is seen as, one day I'll be big enough. One day I'll have, insert whatever in order to work with them. One day I'll be experienced enough. One day I'll have the discretionary funds. Like I'll have more expenses. I'll have more, whatever people use to be like, I've got them on a vision board. I've got them on an idea. I'm just not there yet. And a lot of times we are those aspirational brands, and people don't realize that. So it is a way back to what we said in the beginning. How can you help your audience? How can you help the humans that want to work with you? Before I created the workshop that people can buy for $17 and the mini course they can buy for $97, the only way was if they belonged to a program that someone else had paid me to come in to guest coach, or they heard me on a podcast, or they read something that I wrote. That was like the only way for someone to work with me, even though I was a boutique agency that was over here, in this 4-figure, right? And like same thing with Sue. It's like she has this fantastic YouTube channel that will show you all kinds of things with Kajabi. You got a membership, you've got like all these courses people can take, you've got all this stuff, but someone may be saying, for whatever reason, I'm not ready yet. And so giving people that access that allows them to build their own confidence in themselves to see what they actually are ready for, regardless of the money part, right? It brings in, like, by us detaching ourselves from our brand, it actually lets our audience attach like their human to what it is that they're trying to do, and helps them grow their confidence.
Yeah. And, to help someone grow their confidence, they need to trust you. It's that thing where it comes back to, most decisions are made on an emotional basis, and you probably are going to, whether you want to accept it or not, put more emotion behind a bigger ticket decision than you will behind something that's the price of dinner, or the price of a few coffees. Like, that's less of an emotionally driven decision. And if you can allow people the space to be able to make decisions where they're just like, quick, oh yeah, that looks good, I'll buy it, Whereas something where they have to think about it and they have to trust you, by buying that smaller priced, it gives them the space to be able to trust you to then buy the bigger offer. And, there's multiple ways to do that. And, it might be something where they could do it through listening to on podcasts or reading blogs or watching YouTube or something like that. But actually having that sense of, this is what it's going to be like if I work with this person, not just if I consume their content. Like, it's a closer experience potentially to what it would be like to work together, and that just helps build trust. And business is all about relationships, and it's all about building trust. Like, people don't tend to just drop 4 and 5 figure sums with someone that they don't know and trust, and it's all part of like, when you build your audience, you're building your audience's trust in you as a person to solve their problems. And that's why I just I love having that opportunity where you can go that little bit deeper than you can with your free content with someone, and you give them that chance to work with you and trust you. It's fantastic. I love it. I love having all sorts of different options of ways for people to work with you as well.
Yeah, and you're giving people permission to say yes.
Yeah,
because to the point that you were just saying about emotional buyers, everybody is an emotional buyer.
exactly.
The difference is how much logic, how much justification that they layer on in order to talk themselves into something or talk themselves out of something, right? It's very much like, you have this saying and you're like, oh, Sue's my human, I want to work with her. Whatever she's offering, I don't care, I want in. And then you see a price tag and it's like, okay, what do I need to move around? How do I need it? What changes? What, right? And that's that logic part coming in. And when you offer somebody something that is less than the 100, but especially like less than the 50, then you're giving them permission to just say yes, to follow that gut instinct, and then let them decide, what that outcome is, right? And whether, I mean, again, it builds that trust in themselves and their confidence in themselves, which helps them be a better business owner. And for those of you that are, more B2C, like you're directly just human to human and not like to other entrepreneurs or larger businesses, then it lets them be like, yeah, I was right. This sweater is cool. I'm so glad I took a chance. Whatever your version of that is, it gives them that permission to trust themselves as well as to learn more about you and to trust you as the business owner.
Yeah, definitely. And that, it's just that trust will help, because, I had a situation recently where I purchased a $37 workshop, and I had the opposite reaction. It made me not want to work with that person, because I went through their training and I felt really underwhelmed, and I didn't feel supported in implementing the things that they were teaching. And they then offered their, $5,000 coaching program, and, it made me not do it. So, it could just be that I don't gel with that person, and that's okay. Like, I gave them a chance, and you will find that there are people in your audience who do that too. But that's where, I would far rather had someone that was just like, yeah, that's all right, I don't want to go further, off a $37 offer, than someone who purchased, say, a multi-$1,000 program and then got in it and was just like, oh gosh, that was such a, they just have a bad experience because they didn't, get along with you or whatever. It's a lot easier to sort of, walk away from that decision at a lower price point than it is at a higher price point. And I don't have like negative feelings towards this person. I'm just like, well, I probably wouldn't choose to continue working with you. I would choose to continue with working with someone else where I've done, something as a similar program and felt that it helped me more. And it, like I said, it might be a teaching style thing. It may just be a way that they've got things set up. But it helps you sort of trust in your own decisions when you can go through that process and feel good about making the decision. And you're giving people an opportunity to be able to have that experience for themselves, regardless of the outcome.
Exactly. Right. And there's two sides to that example that you just gave. There is the freedom of choice and the examples and the real life living through it that the buyer has. but there's also the responsibility of the seller. And
Mm.
we'll save this for another episode, but I want to make sure to pop this in. It is making sure that the copy that you're writing, the sales messaging that you're giving, sets up appropriate
Yes. And that is
expectations.
exactly what went wrong with this. The like
Yes.
what I thought I was going to get wasn't what I got.
Yes.
So it kind of made me feel
Yeah.
disappointed. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
that
so
is
it made
so
you feel
crucial.
like it was great marketing because
Yeah.
you wanted to buy it and you bought into it, but it
Yeah.
made you feel like it was crappy salesmanship
It just
because
didn't
you're like,
deliver.
wait, that's not what I thought I was getting, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and we can't control everybody's perceptions, but we can do our damnedest to make sure that we are very clear
Yeah.
and we are very transparent, that we are very
Yes.
honest and truthful about what it is. And when you were given that example, it reminded me of one that I did that I signed up for a freebie and it had a workshop upsell, right? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, because this is something I was really interested on. I wanted to kind of geek out about it. I love instant access. I'm not a fan of dripping because it's like I've dedicated this time. Let's go all in. I could get it. I think it was only like $17. It might have only been $7. It was some, and yes, side note to everybody listening, you are hearing us repeat very, very similar numbers because of the psychology of pricing. So you will see $7, $9, $17, 27, like repeated over and over again. And it's not just us harping on the same example. It's actually what people are choosing for pricing psychology. So that was another little sidebar. But like in this one, I was like, okay, this is awesome. This sales page is telling me I'm going to learn these things and I'm going to get a more enhanced version of what I just got as a freebie. So this is awesome. Then when I actually went to watch it, which was immediately, it was literally the person reading the page like one by one, like not even expanding on the stuff that we were supposed to. It was an excerpt from a live coaching call. So this was probably an asset that she had given, a membership or something, a coaching group. And it was her basically just going over it. And I was like, that did not add a single piece of value to me. I wasn't looking for the audible version of this. I did. Somebody read it to me. I needed more info or examples of how to answer these questions that I was doing in this. And that is another thing where like, if it would have just been not gelling with her or her energy or, like how this was going through, that's one thing. But whenever you feel like you didn't get what you bought, regardless of the price, that is an opportunity as a business owner to look back at that example and see what doesn't match up and then check your own stuff to make sure that you haven't accidentally done the same thing.
And that's where it's that feedback thing, like really asking people for feedback on it, especially if it's something that you think has the potential to expand into a bigger program, like what Tracie was talking about earlier, how she created that, initial $17 workshop and is then improved and expanded as she's got feedback from people about what's missing. Like talking to people and going, hey, did this deliver what you expected? What was missing? How could this be improved? And it's so funny because I had that emotional reaction and I hadn't considered that was exactly the reason why. And it was literally it was that sense of disappointment because I didn't get what I thought I was going to get. So it's quite funny that I shared that and you picked up that exactly, because I was like, yes, that's right. Because I remember even going back to the sales page and going, no, I'm pretty sure they said that there would be this, this guide and this, strategy. And all it was like 2 minutes on a video, like whipping through something so fast that I was like, oh, I don't know if I get it.
So, and for you and me to say it was fast, considering we both watch things on like double speed. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's very much that case of at that point, and this is, as a business owner, remember this, it does not matter the price point. That is an instant of broken trust.
Exactly.
And if you ever get it back, you will have to work multitudes more to gain it back from that individual, right? Let alone the group of people that did that.
And say that that's you in that situation and you've done that with your audience and you're like horrified that, you could have potentially done that. That's why it is such a great opportunity at these, even at these smaller price points. And even if it does take a little bit more of you and your energy and inputting into it, like no doubt you're wanting to create these offers, not just to grow your audience and to create money. You're wanting to create these offers to actually help people and to give them something where if they purchase it, Sure, if they go on to buy something else, that's awesome, and that, increased lifetime customer value and everything. But you should be creating something that even if they just buy that one thing, they're still getting value out of it. They're still feeling like you delivered on what you said you were going to. And if you find yourself in this situation where someone gives you negative feedback, don't take that as a personal attack, and don't take that as something where like you're a failure and you're not good at doing this, or anything like that. Sometimes when you're so in the weeds, you don't realize what you don't like, because it's so natural for you, especially if you're teaching something that you use in your business every day and it's like second nature and you don't have to think about it. And I'm very guilty of this sometimes with some of my Kajabi stuff, and some of the jargon that we can use is to forget what people are like when they're not that far down the path. And by giving people who've gone through your program the opportunity to give you feedback about it, and negative feedback especially. I mean, I love negative feedback because it helps me to be like, all right, how can I make this more whole? And if someone has given me feedback on something they thought was missing, and I can then go back to them and be like, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate you being honest with me. I've actually made this improvement. Here you go.
Exactly.
That would just, completely repair any trust breach, because you're showing that you're in it to help people. You're not just in it to create a quick buck. And unfortunately, in our industry, there are a lot of people, like a scary number of people, who their only thing is to create a buck. And I love creating money and income and all that kind of stuff, but I also love doing it and feeling good about it, and feeling good about how I'm helping people and making money, not just going, I want to make $1 million and sell whatever I can and not care about it. So
that's integrity, right?
Yeah.
That is showing that part. And that's where sometimes we might need to do a bit of padding around ourselves, take the time to process and remember, I am not my business. My business is not me. Even if you're a party of one, you are not your business. Your business is not you. And you might need to bring in some help with that. And I don't just mean like coaching to help, work through anything. I mean like an actual other human to actually read those surveys.
Oh my gosh, reviewing is like the best.
Yeah.
There is a reason why I asked Tracie to do her copy magic review on my pages. It's because when you are too close to things, you don't see it. And having someone else's eyes, and also someone who maybe doesn't have the knowledge that you have, will help you to see if you are explaining stuff in a way that's kind of going over people's heads, which can be quite common too. But
so you can get help like with someone helping you read the surveys. If you're like, I'm a little too close, I'm a little too scared. And then for the preventative side, you can get people help by reading the stuff that you're actually putting out there, and giving them access to whatever the thing is, and be like, does this match for you? Because and whenever you get the feedback, whether it is the before or the after, there's also, again, that emotional detachment to be able to say, I don't understand, right? Because just because someone has feedback for us, it may be a great point, but we're still separate humans. So it's okay if you don't understand what it is that they're trying to say that they need, because you think so differently, right? So it's not you being attacking the reviewer. If you go, okay, so you said that this is here and I want to include it, but I don't understand what's missing, because in my mind, it works like this. So how does it work in your mind? Right. So there's those pieces too that that help. And on feedback, on emotional security, on all that, we could do a whole other episode.
I know. But I just will add one last thing before we wrap this up around feedback. Is sometimes people will give you feedback on something they felt was missing or wasn't right about your program, and it's not always right. Like, even
valid.
The customer is valid. The customer is not always right. Like, it's really important to listen and be like, oh my gosh, try and be objective about it. But sometimes you'll get feedback and they'll be like, oh, well, I thought it was gonna include this, and you can go, I don't actually know what gave you that impression. and it could be that that you look back, or you get someone to look back and you're like, well, that there was nothing to indicate that would be included. I'm not sure why they thought that would be included. And that may be a situation where you just refund someone, because obviously they thought it was going to be something and it's not, and that is okay too. But it doesn't mean just because someone says something that you have to implement it. Like when you're getting feedback, like one of the things that's really important to look for is patterns, like multiple people saying the same things. It's not that if one person gives you feedback and you're like, oh my God, it's all terrible. Like their feedback needs to be valid and it needs to be tracked back. Like if you're getting 5 people saying, oh, well, I thought this thing was going to be included, and you go on the sales page and you're like, well, I can see how they took that from that, then that's really important information. But it's not always the case. Sometimes people just expect, from their $37 product that they will have an entire business created out of it at the end, or whatever this, that they'll expect all of their earthly problems to be solved, or they didn't read it properly, or other things.
It's
so
whatever they're bringing in, right? It's whatever
Yeah.
they're bringing into that conversation. You're going, wait, what are you talking about? Like, hang
Yeah.
on, what?
Yeah. Or did I misinterpret that? And maybe it is. Maybe it was clear on the sales page and they just didn't read it properly. And you go back and they're like, oh yeah, okay, no, that's on me. So feedback is good, but you don't have to change your entire business just because.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very much so. And that's also like where multiple feedback from multiple different things can really help. But you do not have to completely change your business because of someone's opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
It just look at it as an invitation to explore and to really like investigate. And as Sue was saying, like check. It's like, let me reread this. Was there anything I said? Let me watch. Like if you did a webinar version or any other sort of like pop-up group challenge, was there anything that you said when you were excited and you were in the heat of the moment? And it's oh crap, I wasn't actually including that, right?
Yeah.
That's again where that transparency and that integrity comes in, where like where you can make it right, and it becomes that lesson for the future. It's like, note to self, stick only to talking points, do not offer people and if it happens, that's okay. Hopefully it'll just be like 5 people and not 500, right?
Well, exactly. And maybe someone will bring something up that wasn't included and you're like, oh, I was going to do that and then I changed my mind and then I took it off. So then you can say, well, that's fair enough that how about I offer you a refund because I was going to and then I didn't, and I was just talking about something like 2 months ago. And yeah, but I really love that. I love that what you said. It's an invitation to explore. Like it's not necessarily a reaction that you need to make. And yeah, please treat feedback as much as, if you have an emotional reaction to feedback, close the feedback and come back to it the next day. That is my advice.
And ask somebody else to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That is okay. Like as much as we want to read our own, like, especially like if we're going to use it for voice of customer, like we want that intimate knowledge as we're trying to think of what to do, but it's okay to put protections in place until it's a little bit easier, and it's a little bit easier because that's just practicing separating yourself from your business, right? And that's a muscle. It takes a bit of time for anything. So have a business bestie. Your partner may be a little tired of you at this point, so you might want to pick somebody else. If you have any team members, ask them. And just kind of like do what you need to for yourself to remind yourself. It's like, this is not a personal attack. This is not personal feedback. Even if somebody's like, I hate their voice, I'm never listening to them. Okay, great. You've probably had somebody in your life when you were young who had that voice and it triggers you. I get it. That's fine. That's your personal story. I'm going to keep going. It's those kind of pieces. It's like, kind of like that part in Harry Potter where they come up to the cabinet and you're supposed to think of like the worst thing and then turn it into something funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what you have to start doing, with whenever feedback becomes a bit more criticism, then you turn it into whatever, looks silly, like, Professor Snape in your grandma's clothes, like, those kind of things that you have to do in order to stock yourself up. Right.
Yeah.
So, I think the point of all of this is it's okay to experiment and try with a small dollar offer, with it, and just kind of know that there's these pieces that are going to come your way. But Sue and I like to have holistic conversations.
Yeah.
We don't,
there's no right or wrong. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Experimentation. Like experimentation doesn't
a lot
mean
goes
you
into
have
it.
to do it a certain way. It means you can take things and play around with it. And I think sometimes we feel, or I mean, I don't feel so much this way anymore, but sometimes when you are newer into the digital product business, you go, well, they said, like, some, you know, X person on the internet said you have to do it this way. And for every person that says you have to do it this way, there'll be an equal number of people that say you have to do it that way. And that is the thing, is that works for them and their business. And, you know, and you might be like, well, I don't even want to do low ticket offers at all. And that's also okay. Like, you know, it's just an option for an experiment that you can try in your business.
Yeah. And whenever, you know, you're looking up to these people and you're like, I have to follow exactly what they said. Remember, they've only come to recommend it because they've played with it and they've experimented with it and they've tried it. Yeah. So you are just as valid in your own ideas to play an experiment as the people who you deem to be further along or higher in money or whatever it is that's putting them on a pedestal. You know, you are just as valid to play around with those things. There's no wrong answer. It's just different options that will give you different results. So as long as you can come to terms with that, you know, go for it.
Keep an open mind about it.
Yeah, you know, that's the beauty of it. That's the kind of things that we get to do. And it makes it a fun roller coaster of a ride, you know, and just remembering that every single decision is not the be all end all of your business. You get to be fluid, you get to be flexible, and you get to have things that someone might see as a loss, but that you just get to see as a lesson. And that you can just kind of move and grow from, even if it took you 3 months, 6 months, whatever, to, you know, to hatch it into the world and it didn't work out. That's okay. Know next time to test it sooner.
Yeah.
You know, we put a lot of pressure on it, and you don't have to. Transparency can be your best friend in this, and say, I don't know if I'm going to do this forever, but I want to offer this for $17 right now. Do you want it? And see who doesn't just say this is amazing, but actually puts their dollars behind it.
Yeah. And then, you know, from there, that's when you can get into some more advanced strategies that we'll talk about next time, which is then layering these lower ticket things together to make a higher order value. But that is its own beautiful thing. I think we should wrap it up here, because, you know, you've got some insight into the mind of Tracie and myself. And honestly, we could nerd out about this stuff for days. we could just do a live stream that went for a week nerding out over all of this stuff. But, you know, we understand there are limits. So we're going to wrap this one up here. And next time we'll talk about, you know, that layering and order bumps and upsells and all the different things that you can do once you have that that offer created. But now we get to the most fun part of the show. For us, we get to tell you all about our awesome things. So Tracie, how can people connect with you if they would like to learn more about working with you?
Well, I have a fun freebie right now. And guess what, everybody? It leads to a low ticket option. And it is talking about how to put your audience first on their service pages. Like, how can you have something that is a dedicated real life sales message, but doesn't have you in the spotlight? It is real. It is possible.
The hardest thing ever.
I have
you, but not talk about you.
Exactly. I have a free guide for that. And then the offer after that is a workshop where I geek out for an hour, actually, going into all the different pieces, because as you heard in this episode, in any episode, all of this stuff is very, very interwoven. So there are pieces that we're trying to pull out to give you highlighted points and highlighted episodes, but they lead into other things that help you have a more holistic and realistic view. And that's the same thing with both of our offers. It's like, this is one piece of it, but guess what? It fits into something else. Take what you need, leave the rest. So Sue, what about yours?
Well, coming up in October, I am very excited to be running my 30 days to 1K challenge.
My favorite.
Yes, which is where I take you through the start to finish of creating a digital product to sell. I focus on mini courses in this, so how to get a mini product, which could then become a low ticket offer or an order bump or many other things. So you can use this for two reasons. If you've never created a digital product, an online course before, it's a really great way to start, because I focus on doing something simple that you can get done. My goal is to get it done within 30 days. And if you have created digital products before and you just want that that encouragement and feeling of being with a group to give you some momentum, and you're like, all right, I want to create another digital product, because there is no just create one and then that's the end of it. Maybe you've got something new that you want to bring to market, and you want that that atmosphere of being like, all right, I'm going to do it, and you want that start to finish. Like, on this day I'm going to do this thing, and you're going to work through a process, because sometimes, and I know for myself now, I don't need to learn anything, I just need some damn accountability to get it done. So if that's you, I would love to have you join me with in the 30 days to 1K challenge. So go to theunicornadvisory.com/1K to find out more information about that. And we are starting on the 16th of October. And we'll be doing that live. If you're watching this or listening to this in the future, there will be a self-study version available at the same website address. So that is my big thing that I'm going to be promoting over the next little while. And yeah, it's my favorite program that I've done, because I just, I had someone message me today, and she actually did 30 days to 1K a while ago. She never quite got to the end, and I just checked in and gave her a bit of encouragement. She was like, I've had this idea for like 5 years and I've finally got a product. Thank you so much. And she was just like, I could feel her fist pumping. Sometimes it's just getting that stuff out there can really give you that momentum to keep going. So
it is. And I will +1 for that one, because when I was talking about, I do this thing with one-on-one people and I don't know how to do it for a group, this was the program that I did. I followed her 30 days to 1K in order to make the mini course that I just got finished telling you guys about. And it made everything like, okay, yes, I have the confidence and I have the pieces to do, but I also can see like how to break these things apart and bring it to life. So whether you're like Sue's example, and the person had been sitting on an idea for 5 years and it's like, I just want this out in the world, or whether you're like me and I'm like, I'm already doing it, but how can I bring it to more people? And everything in between. I will wholeheartedly say, yes, 30 days to 1K. It is also my favorite, because I was like, okay, I no longer think these things are stupid. I like it. I have one out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. But we shall join you another time for more cocktails, more coffee. My coffee is now empty. Oh, you're still going on your cocktail. Nice work.
I mean, I got to pace myself more on this than I do on coffee, right? Yeah.
That is true. But it has been
magic beautiful. Of the big ice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm slightly jealous. I'm at the beginning of my day, so coffee is far more appropriate. If I started drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning, things would go south quickly.
Right. It is nighttime here.
It's a nice end of day.
All the bourbon for me. Yes.
Yes. Wonderful. Love it. Jealous. Well, we shall catch you in the next episode. If you have got something you would like us to discuss and ramble about and have our, philosophical discussion on, please do let us know, because we want to make sure that this is really helpful for you and, can give you some insights and different perspectives, perhaps. You're not going to find us spouting, crazy strategies and going down the somewhat pro-marketing path. It's more just we like to think about things from a more open perspective, I would say, and just consider options. And we both are very much believers that there is not one path. There are multiple paths, and you need to make it personal to you and your audience. And anyway, we'll start rambling again. I need to stop. Goodbye, Tracie.
Goodbye, everybody. We will see you soon, hopefully. Let us know what you want to talk about, and we will be here.
All right.
Bye.
See you later.